Exit. Perfect. Now we're on YouTube. I'll start letting everyone in.
Cool.
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Hello, hello, guys. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. Middle of the week, getting over the hump. All right. Do you see it live, Morgan? I exited out. So do you see it all good?
Yep. Yep, we're all good.
Cool. All righty, guys. Well, I'm excited for today. I'm going to get right into it. We were just making sure that we had the YouTube live set up before we got going with everything. But just want to welcome everybody in. Today's Wednesday, middle of the week. Great time if we haven't got some momentum building yet to get it started. And if you already have, it's a great time of the week to reflect and finish out the week very strong. I'm going to be filling in today. I know I'm not Wade. If anyone hasn't realized that by now, we might need a new prescription, but I'm going to be filling in today. And like I said, I'm very excited. So I'm going to get right into what I have prepared. Um, should take maybe less than 15 minutes, hopefully. But I got a lot of great stuff that I want to go over. So first, I just wanted to share another reminder. I know we've mentioned it before that the Texas House bill takes effect September 1. So between now and then, unless we hold the first position on funding for the UCC filing, they will not be eligible for funding with us after September 1. So if you guys have existing clients, clients that you've helped get funding in the past in Texas, or you just want to, go bonkers with prospecting new clients in Texas, it's very important that we get that first position before September 1st, because after then, whoever has that first position with them essentially owns that client going forward. So that's only in Texas. So if you want to go through your current database and go through all your Texas clients, send them an email, maybe give them a call. Or if you just want to go crazy on the phones, letting them know that this is, taking place. And you can even send them a link to make it a little bit more credible, just so that they can read up on it on their own time. But it is something that is coming within the next 10 to 12 days. So very, very timely matter. And that's very important. Whether, like I said, that's your current client base, or just you want to meet some new business owners and get them funding and let them know that, if they get funded with us, that we'll be their funder going forward. And that's a great reason for reaching out. So I'll touch on that in a little bit, but that is detail number one. Detail number two, I want to shed some light on Wade Cordell, our senior underwriter in the funding team yesterday. We did just under 2.7 million in funding yesterday. So if you guys want to give it up for Wade and the funding team, they're great at what they do every day, but yesterday was a great day. We had one funding made up for 2.5 million of the funding. That was a renewal, and that was in Texas. So we are working the Texas database pretty hard right now to let everybody know. Um, that this is coming within the next under 2 weeks from now. So it was a great, client that obviously we've done a lot of business with in the past, and Wade was able to get on with them and secure 2.5 million in funding. So, definitely give some claps and some praise for Wade, and as well as the funding team. And everyone plays a part. But there was just a phenomenal day yesterday. Corporate team and the group chat, we were all jumping up and down and just giving him some applause, because it's those are the days that show you that all the little things that we do throughout the week, throughout the year, consistency, as long as it's rolling, great things like that happen. So great job, Wade. Great job to our team, keeping us, moving along very strong. I love how they operate and what they do. So great things happening yesterday. And like I said, we got to keep that momentum rolling, keep it going throughout the week. So on that topic of renewals, I wanted to shed some light on a couple details. So keeping in mind, majority of fundings in this space, not some, but majority of fundings in this space are not one and done fundings. Um, if a business acquires funding with us or just anywhere in this space, they're, more and more familiar with the process. Um, Clearly they have an understanding for capital and what it could do for their business. So it would be most likely that that is not a one and done situation. So keeping that in mind, most businesses come up with a need or an idea for their business every 6 to 12 months. That's usually the time frame which, after a funding or at some point they have a new need or an idea that's going to require some working capital. So that being said, follow up is just as important as the prospecting that we're doing. Any reach out we're doing, follow up is just as important. In fact, it's actually, in my opinion, more important because you've already established a relationship. They already understand our platform, a reason why working capital would be beneficial for their business. So, um, obviously, for the experienced brokers, this is something that isn't new to you, but it's very important to bring up, especially maybe if you're a new broker or, follow up is something that maybe you can improve on. But um, so, to set if you get business funding, it'd be great to set up maybe a 6 month reminder to follow up specifically for renewals, not just a follow up. Follow ups are key. Keeping them. I like to reach out to businesses just with some information, something that's informational for them. It doesn't have to always be about funding. You can let them know we're here, but that goes into caring for the business, right? Not just, are you guys ready for renewal? You ready? Give them some real tangible things that they can hold on to along the way. But setting that 6 month reminder for specifically reaching out for renewal, saying, hey, it's been 6 months. What can we do for your business? What could some working capital do for your business now? So keeping that in mind, I would say that's just as important, if not more important, than the initial reach out, the initial funding, because it's solidifying you in that relationship going forward. You're always going to be here. So make sure that communication line stays open constantly. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Very, very important. Some prospecting tips. I really wanted to share this. I believe that, especially in our space, and being that we are different than, I would say, 99% of the brokers in our space as far as how we operate, how we communicate. I think it's very imperative that, um, we take moments like this to reflect on the business owner side of it when we're communicating to them. And I go back and forth with Chad and Grok all the time just to see if there's some things that maybe I don't reflect on enough or, think about enough when it comes to speaking to business owners one on one. And one thing that um, we went back and forth with was, let's put ourselves in the business owner's shoes. So there's two things that business owners respect and value more than anything when you're speaking to them on the phone. And those two things are time and care. So time being the speed of the call, the timing in which the information is shared, maybe, being concise, not rambling, and then care. Why do you care about me more than, Alex, John, and Tim, who are also calling me 3 times, in this week? Um, so keeping those two things in mind, if we can find a great balance between those two. Obviously the opening part of the call is where the care or, the comfortability is established. And that's what separates us as DAC brokers from the rest, right? We're not going to call and say, hey, I got your offer here. I just need you to, respond to this link that I text you. We call and we say, hey, you don't know me directly. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm here reaching out to all of the nail salon businesses in my community because I have a passion for helping them with their needs or ideas. So there's the care factor. Now, let's say they are interested and they want to talk further with you. Time is just as important as the care factor. So, um, making sure that what you're presenting to them isn't the full up and down, every single detail about our funding, whatever it means to you, timing wise, so that they can understand that we're alternative, we're revenue based, we're, here to support businesses who can't use traditional bank funding, and keep that, maybe under 30 seconds or a minute at max. And then obviously, end with I'm going to follow up and send you this information via text, email, whatever it is. Communicate or connect on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever your special relationship builder is. That's completely up to you, but time and care are always going to be the two most important ingredients in that recipe. Um, and that's just what I found over time. You could have a great opening to a conversation. They see that you care, they see your passion, but they just don't want to be on the phone for 5 minutes. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say I've gotten excited before, and I'm passionate and I'm talking. I got to get off the phone. I go, I probably could have shortened that by 3 times that amount and sent the rest in an email. And I'm sure that's not going to completely turn them off. They see it. They just maybe they see that you're eager, and then maybe that means you're new into the industry or whatever that means. But little receptors like that can go off when one of those two things aren't or used, I'll say, during that process. So the care factor, the people that call them and say, hey, you just got approved for 50,000. I can get it, and that's a hang up because you don't care. You're obviously trying to get to a transaction. So they see that right away. But time, relatability, and speed of the call are always going to win. And we already have that upper edge, right? Being that we're different from the rest. So keeping those things in mind, that's the secret. It's not even a secret. We talk about it all the time, but that's what's going to matter the most when prospecting. All right. So I think that's very, very important to keep in our minds as we're texting, calling, whatever it may be. Another thing I want to touch on is I know I said last time I was on, small wins, all wins, but with renewals in mind, right? We say the size of the funding, if it might be a giggle, we don't want to spend wrap too much of our time into maybe a lower sized funding, being that, um, obviously we're searching for bigger fish, if you will, bigger fundings. But if you think about it, any deal, whether it's a small deal or a big deal, that's a win, whether it's a small win, big win. So we need to really keep that in mind. Let's just say we have a smaller giggle funding that's $10,000. We were able to get that business $10,000. There's no telling what could happen down the road. So as far as the follow up, as far as the communication, all of that should stay the same. Now, if you're on a 45-minute phone call talking about requirements and bank statements, with obviously keep that in mind that we don't want to pour our energy into a lower sized funding. Not to say it's because our commission may be small or anything like that, but that's just something that we know, right? We're going to pour more time into a higher size funding, being that that's really what we're searching for as brokers. But if I just went back and forth with ChatGPT about this, and I said, with all these great renewals that are happening in DAC, what would you say is the most important idea or concept to hold on to when it comes to renewals? And they said, hey, any win is a win. So just let's keep that in mind. If let's say we have a small giggle funding, they should be treated post funding the same as any other client, because if you think about it, and this happens in our industry, a $10,000 giggle funding could after a few years be 150,000 in renewal funding, right? So yeah, that is a big client. And I'm not saying that anyone, doesn't communicate with all of their clients the same, but that's just something that's a perspective thing to keep in mind, right? If we, just because it's a smaller funding, doesn't mean that post funding we shouldn't be treating them the exact same as a $200,000 funding, because that $200,000 funding may never need us again, and that's okay too. That happens all the time. But that small funding, with that relationship, that communication, if we let them fall off, we could be potentially missing out on 150 or even higher in renewal funding. So that's a perspective thing. Let's keep that in mind as well. Last thing that I wanted to mention is that our Facebook group is great always, but I want to challenge everyone to, throughout the week. I know we've had our check-ins where people are sharing their level of reach outs and things like that, but I would encourage everyone throughout the week, whatever it is, if you went out and talked to a couple businesses in person and you met 5 business owners, Now you have you've increased your list of new relationships, whatever it is. If you had an email that got responded to, or you just figured out, you found a new email template that you like, something that's improved your system throughout the week and it's got you fired up. I encourage you guys to throw that in the Facebook group. We have a lot of different posts going on, and I see them all the time. That's great, but I'd love to see even in the next couple of weeks just any little thing that happens, right? Because that's we're a virtual community. We don't have the luxury of being right next to each other, as great as that would be. But that is our locker room. That's our huddle, if you will, to where we can share any small wins throughout the week. So it doesn't have to be a funding. It doesn't have to be an application in. Those are all great. You could share those too. But let's just remind each other that we're all having small wins all the time, because that's going to keep um, our motivation level high, and I think it's really going to increase the community, just the hype of the community together. So I'll be participating in that as well. Whatever a small win is for you, could be anything. Just throw that in there, and let's make sure we comment on people and like those posts and really engage with each other. I think that's something that we have an advantage over a lot of other businesses in our industry, our community, our broker base. I mean, we blow, as far as numbers go, we blow every other business out of the water with how many brokers that we have, and all the things that we're doing. So that's my challenge for you guys for this week, is to let's get the Facebook rolling, make some posts in there, comment on others, get some great activity going there. But as far as updates and my tips for you guys, that's really all I have together today. I actually went a little over my 15 minutes, but obviously when you're explaining some things and communicating, time always goes over, so not a big deal at all. But I am a quote guy. I know you guys saw that for me on Monday. I love quotes. I think it's a really good, they're very short and simple, but they also are very powerful in our daily lives, that we can hold on to what they really mean. So today I actually had two quotes. I could not decide between one of the two, so I decided I would just throw both in. I feel like they each touch on a couple, different points that I've made today. And the first one is from Theodore Roosevelt. It says, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." Right? People don't know how much you know, or they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that really goes into the prospecting. You could have the best funding offers in the world, the best of the best, top gold, platinum status product for them. But if they don't feel that you care, whether that's about their industry or about your community or just about business owners, that they're rock stars, you'll never break through that barrier of a relationship with them. And that's for certain. So I think that quote, as short as it is, it's very powerful on how we can continue to be people here for business owners, knowing that how much they go through day in and day out, and we're just here to make their lives a little bit better if working capital is what they need. That's it. And then the next quote is this happened. This has more to do with the renewal side of what I mentioned today, but I really like this one. That's why I kept it. It says, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." So if you think about it, all the work that we've done so thus far, it's very important to look back on that. But right now is right now, and there's no better time to build your book of business going forward, create those renewals down the road going forward than right now. So if you're brand new with us, or you've been with us for 8+ years, there's no better time to create those new relationships than right now. Obviously, it'd be great to act on things that happened 20 years ago. But if it doesn't start right now, then when, right? So I think we've got amazing stuff going on here. I can't be more fired up about how yesterday went and how things have been going. Funding, the numbers are up this month. I can tell you that, especially if they were before yesterday. So yesterday was just an extra boost. So I think there's just nothing. I just have nothing but positivity right now and excitement. And I can't wait for the anniversary celebration next week. I know that with this little extra time that we've had, it's probably going to increase what we're bringing to you guys. We weren't expecting the postpone, but that's only going to lead to some more great things coming. So I'm going to open it up. If anyone wants to share anything, any wins, I'm going to take like 10 to 15 seconds and read through the chats real quick. But if you have anything you want to share, you can put your hand up. I'll see it in the chat as well. So if you want to put it in the chat, I can respond to it there. Appreciate it. Good point, Harlequin. Yep, September 1st is Labor Day, so they would have to be, funded. That Friday would be the last day to be funded. That's a really good point. Thank you, Harlequin. Absolutely. Appreciate the encouraging words, guys. And yeah, Wade, I mean, he's one of a kind. He's there's no one else out there like him, that's for sure. Awesome, Katie. Great, great, great stuff. Awesome. Well, I don't see any hands up, guys. I know today was a little, short and sweet. I mean, it's not on time, but as far as what I covered, so I would just say going forward, remember, I'm challenging everyone to hop into the Facebook, share any small wins throughout the week. And let's, between now and September 1st, really now until the Friday before September 1st, let's do everything we can to work our Texas client base. Or if you don't have any, that's fine. Call Texas businesses. It'd be a great, great, great way to solidify them as your, premier client going forward. Because once you have that first position before September 1st, they're in your book of business. So it's a great, great way to, like I said, renewals. I mean, that's an autumn. If they do renew, it's going to be with you. So great, great way to set up a future book of business for yourself. See you, Jose. How you doing, Jose? You can go ahead and unmute.
Oh, good morning. Look, real quick, I was late getting on the call, but
Yep.
I saw David's post yesterday with a 2.5. What industry was that?
I actually am not even sure. I talked to Wade briefly this morning, so I am not sure. I do know it was a renewal, and in Texas, that's really all the information that I have. But
We
I'm
could
sure,
we could try to find out and post it if we can get that information, Jose. I don't have
yeah,
it
I,
on
I
either.
yeah. When I was talking to Wade, I think he said he was going to make some sort of post soon, or make it a more apparent post. But we just maybe talked on the phone for less than a minute, and he just, I just said that's great. So didn't get that much information on it, but I do know that it was a renewal funding in Texas. So I'm sure there'll be some more information soon. Just like Morgan said, we'll probably make a post for it, shedding some light on it.
Okay, great. Appreciate you. Thank you.
No problem, Jose. Alrighty, guys. That's all we have as far as questions. So I'll just keep the main thing the main thing. Like I said, let's get the Facebook hyped up, get some activity going on there. That's great for just the community in general and new agents and brokers to, see all the great things that are happening. And you never know what little thing might encourage and motivate somebody that could lead to something great. So that's really all I have for you guys today. I love you. God loves you more. Let's change the world and let's finish.